new media technologies in the construction and research and planning and evaluation stages. The hardest part of the project was the editing, and starting to use Final Cut Pro was challenging to learn how to cut, import music, and make slides. I had to shoot scenes that I thought were normal in length, but putting it all together made it very slow and drawn out, so I had to edit and cut a lot of unnecessary time, which seemed hard to do at first, as I wanted a time of 1 minute 30, but in hindsight I'm glad I shortened it down, as many horror movies end about 1 minute 20, 1 minute 10 at least. To make the music or sound clips, I used the program GarageBand to make my audio, but in order to find the right audio to fit my trailer was hard, as there were over 100 sounds and pieces of my music on the program. After some time I chose my sounds and cut bits from the start and the end, as the sound I had wanted was not throughout the clip, and then exporting it in a different format so I could then open it up in the trailer, using one side for a few seconds and another music piece that kept playing for about 20 seconds. To create the slides with text in the trailer was hard, as you couldn't put in any file format into a video file. You had to go on Photoshop and convert it to an NTSC and video file and then insert it. This was confusing, as I didn't understand the new software and which formats could and couldn't be put on. After tips from a friend, I managed to overcome this small issue. In Photoshop, I had made use of the color effects and image effects to get the outcome I did with the post on the website. I had to try and get the right amount of color and shadow so that it wouldn't obscure the face too much, but also wouldn't make the image look any less frightening. I had to choose color that would complement the character and his personalities, and at first I decided I would have dark colors, but playing around with the colors and gradients, I could see that the bright colors would make it stand out more and it would make it look more menacing. For my poster, I had used the threshold tool to manipulate the image to make it look that there were darkness and shadows, which would obscure the character's face and his eyes. I had then used the color balance to make the colors red and yellow appear, and then tweaked its brightness to get the image on the poster. For my website, I had used different effect because using the same image I got wouldn't necessarily work well on both my website and the poster I had done. I had got my original image and used the threshold tool again, but not to the same degree of the one I had used in my poster. And then I had changed the brightness to very high, which would in itself make the image look flat and more startling. Choosing a font was harder than I had imagined, as I had to represent the genre and the movie accurately. I had used the website's The Font and 1001 fonts and gone through dozens upon dozens of fonts until I had found the Aranha font for my title and the Draconian typewriter font for the tagline and the text. I think these fonts accurately represent the theme of the movie and the horror mystery genre. For my title, I had wanted to gain a memorable heading that would portray the character but also be striking. I had gone through numerous ideas which I had blogged about, like I had first thought of having the word whispers in different several fonts on top of each other and in different shades of grey. I abandoned this idea as my current heading showing the reflection represents the split personality of the individual better than my last font had done. Without the use of fonts and Photoshop, I couldn't have made the same effect. Using the camera was tricky at first because setting up a tripod at not level ground would have made the shot look good, so I didn't use it. I didn't use a tripod, but I gave the trailer a shaky feel to it, as certain movies like Cloverfield and Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch Project all use this convention, and it gives us a sense of urgency and realism, which is not what I had planned out for, but I had chosen to use in the end. A little helpful tool on Photoshop helped me out a lot, as I had to find the Lionsgate Films logo, but the only one in Google Images was in black font and a white background. I first used the crop tool in Microsoft Word to get the right size I had wanted, and then used the invert function on adjustments to make the colors for each other, as the background of the logo was white and the background of the image was black. The programs like Final Cut and GarageBand was really helpful on the iMac, but because I had a Windows and none of these programs at home, most of my work had to be completed in school, and because of this, leaving me unable to work from home and catch up on work this way. I had run into two really big problems that I thought that I would miss the deadline, but thanks to new technology I was able to meet the deadline and do it properly. My first hitch was that I had planned to record the whole evaluation on my video camera, and I had borrowed a capture wire from school, but later I found out that the wire wasn't able to connect to my computer because of the different sockets. I was really scared and didn't know what to do, but then I realized that on my iPod Nano it records video with sound. I then decided to record all my 4 questions into different parts, and then by using a video converter I was able to convert it to just to audio. This is why when listening to the sound quality you may notice that it isn't sharp as it could be, even though I converted the sounds to a WAV lossless file to gain their highest quality. My second hitch, and the one that took the most time to overcome, was editing software. I'd wanted to use Final Cut Pro to edit my video, but because I was finishing at home and I knew I couldn't complete it fully at school, I couldn't use it. I was then told to then use Windows Movie Maker. But because it was very basic and didn't let me move things in and out of the timeline as effortlessly as I wanted, I decided not to use this. I then downloaded two other programs, Wax and Avid 3DV, which both were really confusing and hard to use, which I then decided not to use. Finally, I decided to go on Yahoo Answers and see if anybody could make a better decision, as answers are compiled by numerous people and experts around the world, which people can vote on the best answer. One of the questions led me to a link of the program Pinnacle Video Spin, and when I started to use it, I could see that it was very easy and practical to use, maybe more so than Final Cut. It was a trial version, but since I had only needed it for a short time, it was very helpful and useful in completing my project, and without it I would have struggled a lot more.